New Caledonia, an archipelago in the southwest Pacific Ocean, is known for its stunning natural beauty. Turquoise waters lap at pristine beaches, and lush rainforests cover its mountainous terrain. However, beneath this idyllic facade lies a history marked by colonialism, ethnic tensions, and political struggles. A French overseas territory since 1853, New Caledonia has been shaped by the complex relationship between its indigenous Kanak population and the descendants of European settlers. The islands were initially used by France as a penal colony. Later, European settlers arrived seeking land and opportunity. This influx of outsiders led to the displacement of the Kanaks from their ancestral lands and the disruption of their traditional way of life. The legacy of this colonial past continues to cast a long shadow over New Caledonia, fueling tensions and shaping its present-day realities. The Kanaks, the indigenous Melanesian inhabitants of New Caledonia, have long struggled for recognition and self-determination. They were marginalized and dispossessed of their lands during the colonial period. This historical injustice has left deep scars on Kanak society, and continues to be a source of grievance. Many Kanaks feel like strangers in their own land, their culture and traditions under threat. The Kanak independence movement gained momentum in the latter half of the 20th century. The movement seeks to reclaim Kanak control over their destiny and achieve full sovereignty for New Caledonia. This struggle for independence has been met with resistance from those who benefit from the status quo, particularly the descendants of European settlers. The relationship between the Kanaks and the descendants of European settlers has been marked by periods of violence and mistrust. The Uvea cave hostage crisis of 1988, in which Kanak separatists took French gendarmes hostage, stands out as a particularly dark chapter in New Caledonia's history. The crisis ended in a bloody assault by French forces, further deepening the divide between the two communities. While the 1998 Noumea Accord, a landmark agreement aimed to bring peace and establish a framework for greater autonomy, tensions have persisted. The accord provided for a gradual transfer of power to New Caledonia and set the stage for a series of referendums on independence. However, the process has been fraught with challenges, with deep divisions remaining over the question of New Caledonia's future political status. The ethnic tensions in New Caledonia are exacerbated by stark economic disparities. The descendants of European settlers tend to hold a disproportionate share of the wealth and political power. The Kanaks, on the other hand, often face higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and social marginalization. This economic imbalance fuels resentment and creates a fertile ground for social unrest. The nickel industry, a key pillar of New Caledonia's economy, has historically been dominated by French companies. While nickel mining provides jobs and revenue, the environmental impact of this extractive industry has disproportionately affected Kanak communities. This has led to calls for greater economic justice and a more equitable distribution of the benefits derived from New Caledonia's natural resources. The referendums, a path to independence or continued division? As part of the Noumea Accord, New Caledonia has held 3 referendums on independence. The first, in 2018, saw a majority vote to remain part of France. However, the margin was narrower than expected, indicating significant support for independence. The second referendum, held in 2020, yielded a similar result with a slightly smaller majority voting against independence. These referendums, while intended to provide a democratic path towards resolving the question of New Caledonia's future, have also exposed the deep divisions within society. The results have been interpreted differently by both sides, with pro-independence groups arguing that the close margins demonstrate growing support for their cause. On the other hand, those who favor remaining part of France point to the overall majority as a clear indication of the will of the people. The boycott and demands for legitimacy. The third and final referendum, held in December 2021, was boycotted by pro-independence groups. They argued that the COVID-19 pandemic had hindered their ability to campaign effectively. The boycott significantly impacted the results, with a resounding majority voting to remain part of France. However, the low turnout cast a shadow over the legitimacy of the outcome. Pro-independence leaders have called for a new referendum to be held once the pandemic subsides. They argue that a fair and credible vote can only take place when all sides can fully participate. The French government, while acknowledging the concerns raised, has maintained that the 2021 referendum was conducted in accordance with the Noumea Accord. This standoff has further heightened tensions and left the future of New Caledonia uncertain. France's balancing act, navigating colonial legacies and strategic interests. The French government faces a delicate balancing act in New Caledonia. On the one hand, France must address its colonial legacy and the legitimate grievances of the Kanak people. This includes promoting reconciliation, addressing economic disparities, and ensuring that the Kanak voice is heard. On the other hand, France has strategic interests in the region, including maintaining its presence in the Pacific and safeguarding its economic interests. The French government has taken steps to promote economic development and improve living standards in New Caledonia. However, critics argue that these efforts have not gone far enough to address the root causes of inequality. Moreover, the French government's insistence on maintaining its hold over key aspects of governance, such as defense and foreign policy, has fueled accusations of neo-colonialism. The world is watching international reactions and geopolitical stakes. The situation in New Caledonia has drawn international attention. Neighboring Pacific Island nations, many of which have their own histories of colonialism, are closely watching the developments. Some have expressed support for the Kanak people's right to self-determination, while others have urged dialogue and a peaceful resolution. The geopolitical significance of the region has also come into play. China's growing influence in the Pacific has raised concerns in France and among its Western allies. New Caledonia's strategic location and its nickel reserves, essential for technologies like electric car batteries, add another layer of complexity to the situation. A future hanging in the balance: reconciliation or renewed conflict. New Caledonia stands at a crossroads. The path towards a peaceful and prosperous future remains uncertain. The deep-seated divisions within society, fueled by historical injustices, economic disparities, and political grievances, pose a significant challenge. The potential for renewed conflict cannot be ignored. Achieving lasting peace and stability in New Caledonia will require a concerted effort from all stakeholders. This includes the French government, Kanak leaders, and representatives of other communities in New Caledonia. Dialogue, compromise, and a willingness to address the root causes of the conflict are essential. The need for dialogue and understanding. Dialogue is crucial to bridge the divide between the different communities in New Caledonia. Open and honest conversations about the past, present, and future aspirations are necessary to build trust and understanding. This dialogue should not be limited to political leaders but should also involve civil society, traditional authorities, and the wider population. Understanding and acknowledging the grievances of the Kanak people is paramount. Addressing historical injustices, such as land dispossession and cultural marginalization, is essential for achieving reconciliation. This may involve measures such as land restitution, cultural revitalization programs, and greater inclusion of Kanak perspectives in decision-making processes. In conclusion, navigating the uncertain waters of New Caledonia's future. New Caledonia's future hangs in the balance as it grapples with its fractured past and navigates a path towards an uncertain future. The unresolved tensions between the Kanaks and European New Caledonians, exacerbated by economic disparities and political complexities, pose a significant challenge. The recent referendums, while intended to provide a democratic solution, have further exposed these divisions. The road ahead requires a commitment to dialogue, reconciliation, and a just and equitable society that respects the rights and aspirations of all its people. The international community has a role to play in supporting a peaceful and sustainable future for New Caledonia, one that acknowledges its past while embracing the potential for a more harmonious future. The world watches, hoping that New Caledonia can find a way to heal its wounds and emerge as a beacon of peace and unity in the Pacific.